The fall of Baghdad, 1258 CE. The sky burns red over the city of Baghdad. From the east, the Mongol armies ride, their war cries shaking the very heart of the Caliphate. Steel flashes, flames rise, knowledge turns to ash. The great library of Baghdad, once the light of the Muslim world, is cast into darkness. Scrolls and books, thousands of them, sink into the Tigris River, their ink turning the waters black. In that moment, the world lost a treasure but gained a lesson. In the price of arrogance and division, Baghdad burned, and history wept.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وأصحابه وإخواني، أما بعد. لو كانت الدنيا تدوم لأهلها لكان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم حيا وباقيا، ولكنها تفنى ويفنى نعيمها وتبقى الذنوب والمعاصي كما هي. ولو أن المرء لم يلبس لباس من التقى تجرد عريانا ولو كان كاسيا. إخواني في الله, tonight in our lecture regarding the history of the Muslims and the Mongolians, we discuss one of the most difficult periods for us as Muslims, one of the most heartbreaking calamities to befall us as Muslims, and that is the fall of the city of Baghdad, the fall of the seat of the Khalifah, the Islamic Caliphate, the leadership that has been uniting Muslims for centuries. Ikhwani fillah, tonight we discuss about the fall and the massacre of the city of Baghdad in the year 656 of the Hijri calendar. Ikhwani fillah, we mentioned last night that the city of Baghdad was surrounded on all fronts. Towards the east, it was surrounded by Hulagu Khan himself and his army. The vanguard, the center of the army, hundreds of thousands of soldiers were besieging the east. The south was besieged by a man called Kitbuga Noyan. The north and the west was besieged by a man called Biju Noyan, who is the one who conquered most of Eastern Europe for the Mongolians. So the city was entirely besieged. So the Muslims, led by the Khalifa, the last Khalifa of the Muslims, for if you take the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says that the Khalifa has to be from Quraysh, this is the last Khalifa for the Muslims. Al-Musta'sim, the 37th Khalifa from the family of Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, radiyallahu anhu, the uncle of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He comes from the progeny of the family of the Prophet ﷺ, from Ahl Bayt. So Al-Musta'sim, he has a meeting. What do we do now? His evil prime minister, the Shi'i Ibn Al-Qami, says we have to go and discuss terms of surrender with the Mongolians. So the Khalifa says, okay, you as my minister, I trust you, Ibn Al-Qami, you and the head of the church of Baghdad, the patriarch of Baghdad, Makika, both of you can go and have a meeting on behalf of the Muslims. So the people who are representing the Khalifa, the Muslim world, the superpower for all of those centuries, is a Shi'i man and a Christian man. Subhanallah. So they go to Hulagu Khan's camp to negotiate with him. Hulagu Khan promises them a lot of promises. Says to them that I will give you position of leadership in the city of Baghdad if you assist me in conquering Baghdad. You as Ibn Al-Qami, you'll become the leader of the governing council of Baghdad. You as Makika, I'll even give you the castle or the palace of the Khalifa. You can have your church over there. And you know my wife, Dokhun Khatun, is a Christian. My general Kitbuga Noyan is a Christian. In my army, there are a lot of Christians from Armenia, from Georgia, and some are going to join us later on from the Crusader states. I have no problem with you. So I'm going to honor you, but assist me in demolishing this thing called the Islamic Khilafah, the Islamic Caliphate. It's difficult to say in English, Al-Khilafah al-Islamiyya. So he says, go back to your leader and give him the following promises and the following conditions. So they go back to the Khalifa with promises from Hulagu Khan and his conditions. So they say, we had a very excellent meeting with the great leader of the Mongolians, Hulagu Khan, and he has promised number one. He has promised, number one, that we will not have any war between Muslims and the Mongolians. We'll have a peace agreement and there'll be no more state of fighting between us, number one. Number two, I even want my son to marry, I want my daughter to be married by the son of the Khalifa. Number three, the Khalifa will remain the ruler of this area of the world. I'm not going to really remove him from rulership. He will retain his position of rulership. And number four, I give full amnesty and full security, sanctity of the life of the people of Baghdad and their property. No one will be harmed. Nothing will happen to the people of Baghdad. So these are the promises this great leader of the Mongolians, La'natullah alayhi, gave to this delegation of Makhika and Ibn al-Qami. But our conditions as Mongolians are as follows. Number one, there will be no resistance, no calling for jihad in the lands of Baghdad. Whoever is calling for this must be immediately arrested and brought to me as Hulagu Khan. This is a person who wants to break the peace that we are all setting out to get. So the person who is calling for resistance or fighting jihad, all these people have to be surrendered. Number two, we have to, every person in Baghdad has to surrender whatever weapons they own. The fortresses have to be destroyed. There should be no fortresses between us and the Mongolians. Number three, the trenches or the moats that are filled with water should all be covered so that the army of the Mongolians can enter easily. So these are the conditions that are given by Hulagu Khan. And the rulership will be retained by the Mongolians, but you as the Khalifa will be ruling on behalf of the Mongolians. So these are the conditions that he was given. So he wonders what to do, the Khalifa. He doesn't know how to make a decision. He's very indecisive. And the people of Baghdad are similar to him. These are people, who have spent most of their life in a life of entertainment and enjoyment. They live a society whereby they have clothes for the morning, clothes for the evening, clothes for going for dinner. They have clothes for summer, for winter collection. They have a collection for the other seasons also, autumn season and the spring season. They have food. When food is served, it's not served one course, it's served a number of courses. These are people who have alcohol present in society and wine, yet they're calling themselves a Muslim society. There is dances everywhere. There's belly dancing, there's prostitution in society, there's a lot of ma'asi in society. So there are people who have been attached to the dunya. So they do not know what to do. They are confused. This sort of group of Muslims are calling for jihad. What is this jihad? What is this you're talking about, that we should defend ourselves? And this other, Ibn al-Qami, says, no, you have to surrender to the Mongolians. So he's indecisive. He does not make a decision for a few days. Meantime, Hulagu Khan has come with the greatest army ever formed by the Mongolians. And every single day, all those hundreds of thousands of soldiers, they need food. They need upkeep. It's very expensive to keep an army for all these days. So he does not wait for very long. He starts bombarding the city of Baghdad. With the siege weapons, he came all the way from China. He starts bombarding the city of Baghdad and raining arrows. Some arrows also carrying fire, shot by the Chinese. He had a contingent of Chinese soldiers who were given that task of experts. So the Khalifa does not know what to do. When he hears the bombarding, his heart falls. A short while later, he is informed that one of the girls who was dancing for him has been shot by an arrow and she's been killed. Subhanallah, in a situation whereby death is on your gates, yet because the dunya is attached to your heart, he still has girls dancing for him in his audience, in his presence, just to make him relax and and to have some entertainment. In this time, this is a time for entertainment. So he says, Subhanallah, my girl Arafat has been killed. Make sure you increase the security of the palace so that such a thing does not happen again. This is the first of Safar, the year 656 of the Hijri calendar, equivalent to the end of January, the year 1258 of the Christian calendar. 1258 January, 656 Safar, the first. So the bombarding of the Mongolians continues for about 3 days. On the 4th of Safar, the eastern wall of Baghdad starts crumbling. So they have another emergency meeting, the Muslims. Also Ibn Al-Qami is present, the minister, that evil betraying minister, one of the greatest betrayers in Islamic history. He comes for the meeting. He says, no, Khalifa, we have nothing to do except to surrender. We have to go and meet all the terms that Hulagu Khan wants from us, and we have to surrender. So the Khalifa sends some emissaries or some envoys to Hulagu Khan. The Khalifa is coming by himself to surrender. Hulagu Khan says no. He cannot come by himself, because the terms of surrender has to be applicable to the entire population of Baghdad. We need the Khalifa not only to come himself, he has to come with the ministers, he has to come with the scholars, he has to come with the elders of society, the people who have an opinion in society, he has to come with the heads of the tribes, he has to come whoever has a word in society of Baghdad. We want all of them to come so that when there's an agreement, everyone is on board. So Khalifa says, let's go, all of us, to meet Hulagu Khan. He lives with a delegation of about 700. In a different narration, says he lives with a delegation of 3,000. So they all come to Hulagu Khan. Before they enter, the presidential guard, or the guard of the Sultan, or the guard who protects the leader, says, no, all you guys are too many. You can't all be entering to meet the great Khan. So Khalifa, you can enter with 17 people. Just choose 17 people, please. The rest, we have to search and make sure they're not carrying any weapons or possess any threat to the Mongolians. So 17 of them, they're allowed to enter him with the Khalifa to meet with Hulagu Khan. These 17 enter. These other almost 700 or 3,000 in different narration, they're taken separately, placed on the ground, and one by one they're slaughtered. And they're killed the way sheep are slaughtered. Not one single one of them survived. So he comes to the Khalifa, Hulagu Khan. The Khalifa comes to Hulagu Khan. So Hulagu Khan says, you're the Khalifa Al-Musta'sim. Number one, where are your sons? These are your sons, Ahmed and Abdurrahman. Slaughter them. So his sons were slaughtered before his own eyes. All these people who are here, apart from Ibn Al-Qami and a few of the betrayers, leave them. The rest, slaughter them. Khalifa remains by himself. Khalifa, you have some sisters. Your 3 sisters, Maryam, Fatima, Khadija, all taken as slaves to be sold by the Mongolians and to do with them as they wish. Khalifa, you're the great leader of the Muslims. You shall be kept in chains, in handcuffs, and you shall be taken around the city of Baghdad. You must show us where the treasures and the wealth of the people of Baghdad is. So he was taken back to the city of Baghdad to show them where the wealth and everything in Baghdad is. Khalifa, you have shown us the wealth. Now, number one, you have to give us the following people immediately. They have to come. Call them to come meet us. Mujahidin Aybak and Sulaiman Shah and whoever followed them. These are the people who are calling towards resistance, towards jihad against the Mongolians. Bring them here. Let them come with their wives, their children, and their entire family here. So they are brought. All of them placed on the ground, slaughtered immediately. Their wives, some of them were killed, some of them were sold into slavery, some of the children were killed, some were sold into slavery. Number 2, we have a list that Akram has given us of all the scholars of Baghdad, of Ahl Sunnah. If you're a Sunni scholar, if you're imam of a mosque, of a Sunni mosque, if you give khutbah in a Sunni mosque, if you're a Hafid al-Quran, Muallim al-Quran, you teach the Quran, you've memorized the Quran, you give the qira'at or you're a scholar of hadith, you're a scholar of Arabic language, whoever has any scholarship of any form, bring them to meet Hulagu Khan. All of them That list, they're brought to their families, all of them slaughtered. Taken to the graveyards near Baghdad, all of them slaughtered. Amongst them who was slaughtered, is Muhyiddin Yusuf, the son of the great scholar Ibn Jawzi. Ibn Jawzi is one of the greatest scholars of Islamic history, one of the scholars who has written the most books in Islamic history. Ibn Jawzi, Imam al-Tabari, and Imam al-Suyuti, these three are the ones who have authored the most books in Islamic history. His own son, Muhyiddin Yusuf, was brought slaughtered. His wives slaughtered, some of them slaughtered in slavery, and the children also. The teacher of the Khulafa, Sadruddin, Ali Nayar, slaughtered. Most of the Ahl Sunnah Khalifah was slaughtered in this brutal manner. None survived from amongst the scholars. Some ulama, they say over 100 or 200 scholars lost their lives in the city of Baghdad. This is the year 656 of the Hijri calendar. Thereafter, Hulagu Khan, la'anatullah alayh, he says to the people of Baghdad, I have taken your wealth. I have killed your elders and nobles. This is your Khalifa, Al-Musta'sim. His blood is royal blood. We cannot kill a Khalifa the way we kill a normal person because we are afraid of curses of the heavens. So they take a carpet and they cover the Khalifa with a carpet, or they roll him into a carpet, and they get the horses and the soldiers to step on him and it's called what? And stamp on him with their legs and the horse's legs until he dies in this manner. So the Khalifa, the last Khalifa of the Muslims, Al-Musta'sim billah, was killed on the 14th of Safar, the year 656 of the Hijri calendar. He did not stop there. La'anatullah alayhi Hulagu Khan. He says to his soldiers, enter the city of Baghdad and do whatever you want. You're free to do whatever you want. Kill, maim, pillage, burn, rape, destroy, do whatever you want. The city of Baghdad is free for you to do whatever you want. So the armies of the Mongolians enter the city of Baghdad, the most civilized city in Islam, in world history, not even in Islamic history, the city of the Khulafa. This is a city that was built by the great Khalifah of the Abbasids, the founder, the actual founder of the Abbasid Caliph, the great leader Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. This is where Harun al-Rashid came from, the great Khalifa. This is where Al-Musta'sim, Al-Mu'tasim had that woman crying, Wa Mu'tasima, and he went to the great army all the way to the land of the Byzantines to conquer Ammuriya because of one woman who was screaming for justice. He set out with an army from the city of Baghdad. This is the city of Imam Abu Hanifa. This is the city of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal al-Shaybani. This is the city of the great scholars of Hadith, the great scholars of fiqh, the great scholars of Arabic language, the great scholars of astronomy, physics, every field you can think of. This was the capital city, the jewel of the not only the Muslim world, but the entire world. So he says, do to Baghdad as you wish. So the armies of Mongolia start entering Baghdad. They start massacring the Muslims in the streets, in the courtyards, in the gardens, in the mosques, wherever they're hidden. No one is safe in Baghdad as long as you're Muslim. The Christians, not harmed. Why? Because we already made a deal with the Patriarch of Baghdad, the leader of the Christians of Baghdad, number one. And number two, in my army as Hulagu Khan, there are many Christians. My own wife, Dokhun Khatun, is a Christian. So there's no need for me to harm the Christians. The Christians can set themselves in a separate area of Baghdad. No harm will come to them. But the Muslims have to be massacred. So the streets of Baghdad are filled by the corpses of the Muslims. The Muslims, some of them try entering the houses to run for their lives, locking the doors. The doors are broken down or they're burnt down, and the Mongolians enter the house and chase them to the house. Some of them run to the roofs to try escaping death, and they are slaughtered as they run for their lives. Hanifillah, one of the Mongolians, very heartless, these people, they killed men, they killed women, they killed children. One of them finds on the street, or in Astaghfirullah, he finds in the house about 40 newborn children whose mothers were killed, newborn infants. And he takes out his sword and he starts killing one by one every single child. And this is the only thing that we as Muslims can never do. You can never find us, regardless of what the enemy does to us, we will never kill children. We will never kill women. We have a set law, we have set values and set morals in our religion. When you hear this Mal'un Netanyahu saying that he has killed 20,000 or 25,000 children, even if we were to revenge back later, there's no way on earth we are going to kill children. It's not part of our moral system. It's not part of our deen. Prophet ﷺ has not allowed us. Our deen does not allow to kill people who are innocent in that manner. So he kills the children. There's so much fear in the hearts of the Muslims that they feel that this is the day of Qiyamah that has come to us, that we cannot fight these people. These are the Ya'juj and Ma'juj that the Prophet ﷺ has told us about. This is the sign of the day of judgment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet talked about us. يَسْأَلُكَ النَّاسُ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ قُلْ إِنَّمَا عِلْمُهَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. Allah is the one who knows the knowledge of the hour. No one knows about it. So, there's a great massacre of Muslims. Over 1 million Muslims from the citizens of Baghdad, they lose their lives. The Mongolians, they did not massacre Muslims for 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. It was 40 days. An orgy of massacre and genocide of the Muslims of Baghdad. After 40 days ended, Hulagu Khan fears for his army. What does he fear? He fears that all these dead bodies and all these hills of dead bodies of men and women and children of Baghdad will cause a disease and a plague to spread amongst his army. It will not only harm the Muslims, but it will also harm the Mongolians. So he asks his army to give security and peace, honestly this time, that no Muslim will be harmed. So the Muslims, they come out of their dungeons that they were hiding in, the graveyards. Some were hiding in graveyards, some were hiding in wells that had no water, some of them were hiding underground somewhere, in sewers, wherever they could find any form of life and able, they came out. And the shock that they could see, 1 million of their brethren of the city of Baghdad. Baghdad was in ashes. The whole of the city of Baghdad, the jewel of the Muslim world. You see all this death, and they're told, go bury your dead. And these Mongolians, they did not only massacre the people of Baghdad, they did not only steal the wealth and pillage the wealth of the people of Baghdad, they did not only destroy their houses and their mansions and their gardens and their civilization, they did something, a crime that has no reason at all, except that these are people who have hate for the Muslims, hate for anything called civilization and legacy. So they go to the great library, Bayt al-Hikmah. This is a library that has been surviving for over 500 years, the largest public library in the entire world. A library containing not only books of Sharia, but books of astronomy, physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, translations of the works of the Latin, of Greek scholars, of Persian scholars, of Indian scholars. The entire knowledge of the world, with no doubt, was in this maktaba. So they come to this maktaba, the great library of Baghdad, Bayt al-Hikmah, and they start taking out the books and throwing it in the river, the Tigris River. Baghdad is divided, or Iraq is divided into 2 rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. So they threw it in the Tigris, until the Tigris became black because of the ink of the books. They destroyed all the books. Some of them, they say that the books were so heavy and so many that even a Mongolian on horse can cross over the books from one bank of the Tigris River to the other bank. And this is not an individual event that has happened in Islamic history. For 20 years before Baghdad fell in the year 656, 20 years before, after Cordoba fell in 633, in 636, the Christians also who conquered Spain and Portugal, one of their priests took over 1 million books from the great library of Cordoba, the capital city of Muslims in Spain, burnt it. When Granada fell, the last area for Muslims in Spain, they burnt over 3 million books. They did the same when they conquered Sevilla, Zaragoza, Valencia. All these names that you hear in the La Liga in football, all these were Muslim towns and Muslim cities. They burnt all these books. They didn't stop also in Spain and Portugal. If you come to Lebanon, there's a city called Tripoli, Trablus in Lebanon. There's Tripoli in Libya and Tripoli in Lebanon. So they entered the Grand Library of Tripoli in Lebanon. The Crusaders, they burnt 3 million books. They entered Gaza, they burnt the books of Gaza, Al-Quds, Asqalan. They did this for so many centuries. This was their way to disconnect us from our legacy, our history, our knowledge. If Muslims are disconnected from their knowledge, they will not know what their deen is. They do not know what their forefathers were standing for. If you don't have a history of nothing, so this is a disconnect between us and them. But the colonialists were very smart. The British and the French and the German, when they colonized the Muslim world, they did not burn these books. What did they do? They stole it. So if you go to, sometimes when you're doing research as a Muslim scholar, you want to get a manuscript of the book, where you have to go to the University of Frankfurt. You have to go to the University of Hamburg. You have to go to the University of Birmingham. You have to go to Oxford. You have to go to Harvard. You have to go to any university in the Western world. They have more of our books than we have of our own books. Why? Because they stole our books. They not only steal from the Muslim world, they stole from us in Kenya, in Africa, in Egypt. They stole artifacts and they stole a lot of things. If you go to Ghana, there's a lot of things for Ghana stored right now in the Royal Museum in London and UK and so on and so forth. So these people are smarter, they stole our legacy. So after 40 days of massacre, the Mongolians, they gave the Muslims safety, come and bury your dead. So they started burying the dead, but they feared the Mongolians also came. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, he says in Bidayah and Nihaya, فَمَنْ لَمْ يَنْجُو مِنَ الطَّعْنِ فَمَنْ نَجَى مِنَ الطَّعْنِ لَمْ يَنْجُو مِنَ الطَّاعُونِ. Says whoever was saved from being stabbed or from killed was not saved from the ta'un, from the disease and the plague that came after. So there's a plague in the city of Baghdad, and hundreds of thousands of lives are thereafter lost in the city of Baghdad. This is the year 656 of the Hijri calendar. When the Muslim world, they had this, they all broke down in tears. What a great calamity. We as Muslims have no Khalifa from this day. We as Muslims have lost the Khilafah, the Islamic Caliphate. Our leadership is no longer there. We are going to be divided for how long? Until the Mahdi comes back. How long is that going to be? So there's a lot of sadness in the entire Muslim world. On the other side, the Crusaders, they were celebrating. This is a great victory against the infidels or the Saracens or the Mohammedans, or whatever name they call us, instead of calling us our true name. So they had a great celebration. And this, Ikhwanifillah, was beginning of Hulagu's plan to destroy the Muslim world. He had destroyed the jewel of the Muslim world, the capital city of the Islamic State, the city of Baghdad. These are the events of the year 656 of the Hijri calendar. With the fall of Baghdad, Ikhwanifillah, Muslims were pinnacle of civilization. Everyone wanted to become like a Muslim. Everyone to dress like a Muslim. They want to learn Arabic language. From that date on, most of our scholars, they say, we as a Muslim society, we started going down because we reached the pinnacle. But what was the reason for this destruction? Prophet ﷺ was asked, Anahliku wa fina salihun. Oh Allah, oh Prophet, are we going to be destroyed? And amongst us are righteous people? Says, Na'am, idha kathura al-khabath. Yes, you will be destroyed, O Muslims, if there's a lot of evil in society. Even the presence of righteous people in a society will not assist you. These salihin who pray in the mosque, who come and ask Allah for istighfar, they give out sadaqah, even with their presence will not assist you if ma'asi is spread in your society. If you Muslims start engaging in transactions that are not allowed, if you Muslims start engaging in zina, if you Muslims start wasting time in music and false talk, if you Muslims leave the jihad fi sabilillah, all these are reasons for your destruction. So these are the events of the year 656 of the Hijri calendar, and this was not the end for Hulagu Khan, la'natullah alayh, is planning the next step. How will I conquer the lands of Syria? So in the forthcoming lecture, we shall look at how Hulagu Khan, la'natullah alayh, came to conquer the lands of Syria. And thereafter, we will look at one of the greatest victories, not only in Islamic history, but in world history, in the lands near Gaza, in the Battle of Ain Jalut, in the year 658 of the Hijri calendar. One of the greatest calls of Islamic history, Wa Islamah, by that great leader of the Muslims. We shall look at the great battle and the great victory of the Muslims in the Battle of Ain Jalut in the forthcoming lecture. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.